Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 182 based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng, as an invincible level existence, finds it difficult to meet a rival beneath the primordial. If he utilizes the primordial bloodline, he can easily break free from the braided cage at any time. Naturally, Luo Feng's mindset has also changed. In the future, he pursues a better method to break free from the braided cage. As for the cultivators of the dark sacred realm, Luo Feng is willing to help them. He also harbors goodwill towards the two divine emperors, Flame Wind and Thunder, from his homeland source world. Sit. Luo Feng pointed to the side. Flame Wind and Thunder were flattered and also sat aside. In the current setting, their strength was indeed somewhat weak. Flame Wind, Thunder, have you encountered any confusion in your cultivation? Feel free to speak up. Even if I can't answer, I believe the others present can offer some insights. Luo Feng said with a smile. Flame Wind and Thunder indeed had many confusions. Previously, they were weak and unqualified to consult with pinnacle-level existences. I also exchanged for a high-level primordial bloodline, Sky Thunder Beast, to excavate bloodline potential, but the harvest was minimal. Thunder immediately said. What method did you use to excavate potential? Divine Emperor Jiku asked, as the cultivator who has delved the furthest into bloodline excavation in the contemporary dark sacred realm, naturally has the qualification to guide Thunder. Thunder immediately began to narrate. I attempted to induce with various Thunder powers. The tens of thousands of cultivators in front of the cave mansion garden finally awaited the appearance of Luo Feng Divine Emperor. There he is. Luo Feng Divine Emperor has appeared. These cultivators were somewhat excited as they saw a man with black hair and black clothing emerge first, followed by Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch, Divine Emperor Jiku, and then Boshio, Bai Yin, Kaijin, Flame Wind, and Thunder. These cultivators suddenly felt an incredibly terrifying aura emanating from the black-haired, black-clothed man. Boom tilde 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 tilde. Heaven and earth shuddered. Rules twisted. The surrounding space began to grow dim and dark. All cultivators felt that in front of this black-haired, black-clothed man, they would be easily torn apart. Luo Feng's aura was released and quickly retracted. The cultivators present also instantly fell silent, not daring to make a single noise. I am Luo Feng. The black-haired, black-clothed man looked at them, smiled, and said, my cultivation time isn't considered long. The confusions in cultivation among all of you, I also don't dare say I can resolve them all. Today, I will simply share some of my cultivation experiences, hoping to inspire you all. Thank you, Luo Feng Divine Emperor. All the cultivators respectfully saluted. They all understood. An invincible existence doesn't need to guide them. Being able to guide them is a great grace. Please proceed with your questions. Luo Feng said. May I ask Luo Feng Divine Emperor, besides the known bloodline ultimate awakening, there are other methods to break free from the braided cage? Cultivator asked. Luo Feng looked at Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch beside him. They had spoken earlier, the bloodline issues would be answered by Divine Emperor Jiku. Many hidden pieces of information would be answered by Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch. Enlightenment issues would be answered by Luo Feng. The ways to break free from the braided cage are broadly divided into three methods. Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch said, 1 is Bloodline Ultimate Awakening, 2 is Mastering the Source World Origin, directly becoming the Master of the Source World. 3 is Break Laws with Force, ascending from half-primordial level directly to become a primordial lord. How many ways are there to master the Source World Origin? A cultivator pursued the question. The Source World Origin contains various Great Daos. You only need to leave a soul imprint in more than half of the Great Daos to hope to master the Source World. Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch said with a smile, the Source World Origin consists of at least 9 Great Daos. So, you need to cultivate at least 5 Great Daos to the second realm of Godly King. At least excel in 5 Great Daos? And it also has to align with the Source World's Great Daos. Everyone present knew that it was extremely difficult. Excelling in one Dao is the most common. Excelling in two Daos becomes quite rare. In the dark sacred realm, there are altogether about 1,000 pinnacle-level existences. Excelling in three Daos? It's even rarer. Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch has caught the attention of Lord Starlight precisely because he mastered three Daos to the half-primordial level. Starlight specifically helped him choose a compatible source world for reincarnation. Even if one excels in three Daos, achieving the second realm of Godly King in an unfamiliar Dao is still extremely hard. I excel in life, destruction, and life and death three Daos. However, the source world does not simultaneously contain these three Daos. Luo Feng knew this. To comprehend at least 5 great Daos that the source world happens to possess, and all to the second realm of Godly King, is a huge challenge. A vast world group seldom finds one. Besides mastering over half of the great Daos, there is another way, through spreading faith. Dragon 9 said, by spreading faith in the source world, when every creature within believes you are the source world's master, then the source world's origin consciousness will also recognize you as master. However, spreading faith method is even more challenging than mastering over half of the great Daos. Are there other ways to become the master of the source world? Cultivator pursued further. If you are born in a particular source world, even if you break free from the braided cage, you won't be rejected by this source world. Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch smiled. If you can become a world-level primordial through the primordial bloodline, then you can spend a long time gradually refining the source world origin. Or if you use break laws with force, directly becoming a primordial lord, refining the source world origin of your homeland can be instantaneous. The cultivators present understood. Either rely on certain methods, like mastering over half the great Daos or the faith method, to control the homeland source world. Or rely on strength. After becoming a world-level primordial or primordial lord, they can refine the homeland source world. How to break laws with force? Another cultivator asked. Jiku, Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch both looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng said, Senior Yuan and others have said that comprehending the primordial level path is about mastering the highest level of power, allowing one to break laws with force and directly become the most powerful primordial life. We have long comprehended the half-primordial level Dao and felt it was perfect. Adding even a trace more is considered a burden. So how can we comprehend the primordial level Dao? One cultivator wondered. The 3 primary methods to become a primordial life are bloodline awakening, master of the source world, and break laws with force. Break laws with force is the most difficult, Luo Feng said. In the Godly King stage cultivation, although one is also groping in the dark, every progress feels like an enhancement in strength, Luo Feng said, yet, ultimately, this groping is within the braided cage, making it somewhat smoother. Breaking through from the half-primordial Dao to the primordial level Dao. That is breaking out from within the braided cage to beyond it. On the basis of the half-primordial path, continuing to add mysteries doesn't feel like it enhances strength. One doesn't know if the path they are groping for is right or wrong, Luo Feng said. Without an increase in strength, groping blindly like this is truly cultivation in the dark. One must grope out a complete primordial level Dao in the dark. Luo Feng looked at the cultivators present. In my opinion, if you can't comprehend more than 70% of the high-level primordial bloodline, then don't even think about breaking laws with force. All the cultivators were stunned. They had previously been envisioning breaking laws with force. The highest difficulty? Groping blindly in the dark? But who knows, maybe with good luck, one might just discover the primordial level Dao. If one can comprehend 70% of the high-level primordial bloodline, they can harness the power of the primordial bloodline and directly become a high-level primordial life, one cultivator said. Breaking laws with force has no luck. Luo Feng looked at them. Comprehending at least 70% of the high-level primordial bloodline is merely, in my view, the first requirement for breaking laws with force. True, breaking laws with force is beyond my reach and must have requirements many times higher than what I said. Because Luo Feng had studied too many low-level primordial bloodlines and many types of high-level primordial bloodlines. He had already attained some understanding of primordial lives that have broken out of the braided cage. He even researched the Eye of Life and Death, Star Tower blood-colored scale with the wisdom book, an eye of life and death. Luo Feng had a vague understanding. Once one comprehends the primordial level Tao, they can master the highest level of power. Therefore, the primordial level Tao should not be weaker than the primordial ancestors' bloodline mysteries. Not inferior to the Star Tower's one piece of blood-colored scales mysteries. Luo Feng knew the level at which the Star Tower blood-colored scale resided. If the primordial level Tao is on the same level as it, then his half-primordial life and death Tao is still far from it. I vaguely suspect what level the primordial level Tao is at. But now I can only look up to it from afar. Luo Feng knew he was still far from it. In his view, the threshold of comprehending 70% of the high-level primordial bloodline, what he said was already very low, meant to keep most cultivators from having extravagant hopes. If you can't understand the high-level primordial bloodline, still thinking about breaking laws with force? Purely a waste of time. This discussion on the Tao lasted 3 days. An answer was made by Luo Feng, Divine Emperor Jiku, and Dragon 9 Daoist Monarch concerning methods to break out of the braided cage and some perplexities about the Tao. Luo Feng mainly addressed questions pertaining to the paths of life and destruction, and declared his incompetence in other paths as they were unfamiliar to him. Bo Xiu, Bai Yin, Kaizhen, and many other peak-level beings also deliberated on the Tao one by one. Luo Feng, Long Ju, and Jiku listened attentively, as each had their expertise. After 3 days, the discussion concluded. The cultivators left satisfied, having gleaned much from this discourse on the Tao. From these 3 days of Tao discussion, I, too, have gained insights. Luo Feng returned to the large primordial hall. Surprisingly, there were cultivators who had witnessed the war between the innate primordial life camp and the cultivator camp firsthand. Due to his relatively short cultivation era, compared to other cultivators who lived long and experienced much, it turned out some cultivators were originally from the Shell Valley World Group. Later, the Shell Valley World Group fell. Numerous cultivators from the Source World were relocated to the Dark Sacred Realm. There were also cultivators who encountered their home Source World being devoured by the innate primordial life. Those cultivators could only extinguish their home avatar immediately, thus becoming cultivators without a home Source World. It seems that the cultivator camp is completely at a disadvantage. Senior Yuan and other seniors have also released more treasures for cultivators to exchange and purchase, Luo Feng thought. In the early period, the treasures available for exchange and purchase in the large primordial hall of the Dark Sacred Realm were relatively few. However, as the war situation worsened, more treasures were released. I still have more than 30 million merit points unredeemed. I can take a good look at what treasures Senior Yuan and the others have actually prepared. Inside the large primordial hall. To tour all the collections once requires 1 billion primordial crystals, quite expensive. Luo Feng casually paid, and immediately a female puppet lifeform arrived by his side. She had short silver hair, eyes shimmering with gold, and her smile naturally carried a touch of allure. Cultivator Luo Feng, I will lead you to view the entire collection of the large primordial hall, the silver-haired woman said. I don't know what you'd like to see first. Let's see the primordial prisoners. Luo Feng was very interested in these living high-level primordial lives. The large primordial hall has a total of over 30,000 high-level primordial lives imprisoned. These are all spoils of war captured by our cultivator camp, the silver-haired woman said. I will guide you to observe them one by one. The silver-haired woman and Luo Feng walked deep into the large primordial hall, where space-time transformed with each step they took. Luo Feng noticed in the distance a fiery and fierce figure within a space cage. Flames surged from its entire body, and even its breath carried primordial force. It was climbing with irritation, looking distantly at Luo Feng. Just being stared at by it, Luo Feng felt an inexplicable tremor in his heart. The gap is huge. The breath it exhales could turn me to ashes. One claw from it, and even thousands upon thousands of me would be annihilated. At this moment, Luo Feng was very certain. His own energy reserve of 12 billion times should, in terms of size, reach 1 or 2/10 of this destructive demon god's power. But in terms of quality, the gap was too vast. As a result, No matter how many of himself faced a real high-level primordial life, there was no chance of resistance. Jumping out of the braided cage, that's a qualitative change, Luo Feng thought to himself. He now had the confidence to use 3 types of high-level primordial bloodline to jump out of the braided cage. But Luo Feng was not in a hurry to choose. He needed to first achieve perfection in the life and death Tao, allowing himself to be led by Senior Yuan and others. By then, he should know the most suitable way to jump out of the braided cage. This is a high-level primordial life, the silver-haired woman said beside him. In the infinite primordial space, low-level primordial life is countless and weak. Only high-level primordial life can garner some attention and have some effect in the camp wars. Luo Feng understood. Low-level primordial life had no role in camp wars. World-level primordial life is already a strong force on each side. Regular conflicts generally only involve world-level primordial powers, said the silver-haired woman. Luo Feng also knew. High-level primordial life, world-level primordial powers, and primordial lords. These are the 3 major levels for cultivators after jumping out of the braided cage, with vast differences. Once the lords join the battle, the silver-haired woman's voice turned cold, it signifies the start of war. And right now, it is during wartime. Luo Feng listened. In camp wars, our losses are significant, with even vast world groups completely losing grip, and many source worlds becoming food for the innate primordial life, the silver-haired woman said indifferently. But the innate primordial life camp also suffers severe losses. The lowest level high-level primordial life, the deaths number in the billions. We have also slain many world-level primordial life. The 7 world-level primordial corpses placed in the large primordial hall of the dark sacred realm were freshly killed in a war tens of thousands of epochs ago. Luo Feng was somewhat surprised. 7 world-level primordial life corpses, killed just tens of thousands of epochs ago? Even the primordial ancestor has been slain, the silver-haired woman looked at Luo Feng. This war is different from before. The innate primordial life camp disregards casualties and attacks at all costs, and all the cultivator camp can do is face the battle. Is the situation very bad? Luo Feng asked. Very bad. The silver-haired woman looked at Luo Feng. Cultivator Luo Feng, Fusion Dao Cultivator, when you are guided, you'll know more. You know I cultivate the Fusion Dao. Luo Feng looked at her. Of course I know. The silver-haired woman gazed at Luo Feng. Every puppet life in the large primordial hall is a part of me. As the guardian of the dark sacred realm, nothing can be hidden from me. You have great potential, and in the future you will also be an important force in our cultivator camp, the silver-haired woman said, but right now, you are still too weak. She led Luo Feng forward. Luo Feng looked at the surrounding space cages, each one holding a high-level primordial life, each one bringing an intense oppressive feeling to Luo Feng. Yet these terrifying existences are but the lowest-ranked soldiers on the camp battlefield. Jumping out of the braided cage and merely becoming a high-level primordial wouldn't be valuable to the entire cultivation camp at all, Luo Feng thought, recognizing he needed to become stronger. The further he went, the more high-level primordial prisoners he saw. Facing the gaze of hundreds of high-level primordial life was also a test of spiritual will. Yet Luo Feng walked the entire path calmly. In any case, they were just a bunch of prisoners and couldn't hurt him one bit. Aside from the primordial prisoners, what else do you want to see? The silver-haired woman asked. Take a look at the corpses of the primordial life, Luo Feng said. The silver-haired woman nodded. Through the change in space-time, Luo Feng soon found himself before the corpses of high-level primordial life. In the war, the corpses of high-level primordial life were too many, and they've all been left for the cultivators to exchange, the silver-haired woman said. Just 1 trillion primordial crystals can exchange for 1 high-level primordial life corpse. Many cultivators join forces to exchange for 1 corpse. Luo Feng knew of this. 1 trillion primordial crystals for a high-level primordial life corpse might seem high. But in reality, dozens or even over 100 cultivators could jointly purchase a corpse, and after research, the materials from the corpse could earn back most of the cost, making the price not too steep. Too many corpses. Luo Feng looked at the massive corpses resembling connected mountain ranges, each one emitting a blend of resentment, despair, and anger. The congregation of so many corpses' grievances felt oppressive to Luo Feng. After a long while, he finished viewing all the high-level primordial life corpses displayed in the large primordial hall. This is... Luo Feng saw it. 7 colossal corpses, each larger than the land of origin's mainland. Compared to them, those high-level primordial life were negligible. They ranged from 5,000ths of the entire source world size of the land of origin, to a maximum of 2%. Too massive, Luo Feng looked up in awe. The hidden space within the large primordial hall can be so vast as to effortlessly contain 7 massive corpses. Facing these 7 world-level primordial life corpses, Luo Feng truly felt as if he were confronting the source world. The sense of oppression is too strong. At this level, I'm afraid a mere glance could turn me to ashes. Yet in the war between camps, they still perished. Even thousands of high-level primordial lives can't withstand a single move in front of a world-level primordial, the silver-haired woman said. The gap between major levels is immense. Luo Feng nodded. He could see that. On the camp battlefield, even primordial ancestors have fallen. Only the lords from our cultivator camp have never died in battle, the silver-haired woman said confidently. The war between the two camps has lasted for endless ages, even though we are currently at an absolute disadvantage. But I believe ultimately, we the cultivators will win, because our lords are undying. Luo Feng knew that some primordial ancestors indeed perished in battle. The blood scale of his star tower came from one such primordial ancestor. The lords are undying, yet we're still at an absolute disadvantage. Luo Feng couldn't help but speak. Even our people admit to being at an absolute disadvantage. How disadvantaged must we be? The silver-haired woman hesitated slightly, then sighed softly. Once you're guided, you'll understand, the silver-haired woman didn't explain further. The only boast-worthy aspect of the cultivator camp is that our lords are undying. It allows cultivators to still believe in eventual victory and to fight without reservation. At this moment, Luo Feng knew the cultivator camp was at a disadvantage but wasn't very clear on the real situation within the infinite primordial space. Later, Luo Feng observed various treasures and secret treasures. As long as they were stored in a large primordial hall, he'd seen them all. You've seen all the treasures and secret treasures, the silver-haired woman looked at Luo Feng. Is there anything you want to redeem? Treasures valued over 10 million battle merits aren't stored here. Luo Feng asked. The redemption prices for secret treasures ranged from 10,000 to 50 million battle merits. Yes, the large primordial hall continuously stores only secret treasures below 10 million battle merits, the silver-haired woman said. As for those above 10 million battle merits, each one is immensely valuable, possibly equivalent to a world-level primordial life corpse. So they are specially stored, not in the dark sacred realm. Luo Feng understood. He had noticed. Treasures valued above 10 million battle merits correspond to secret treasures worth more than 100,000 infinite space reward points, not lesser than the Eye of Life and Death. Some may even be more precious. Each cultivator can only purchase one secret treasure above 10 million battle merits, and trading is prohibited, Luo Feng sighed inwardly. The infinite space reward point redemption doesn't limit the number of purchases but restricts point acquisition. You can study it carefully. The silver-haired woman smiled slightly, then left. Luo Feng returned to the cave mansion within the large primordial hall, ready to redeem treasures and secret treasures anytime, and studied the detailed information of each secret treasure above 10 million battle merits. My life and death Tao has gone slightly astray. As Luo Feng accumulated more insights, he realized this too. My cultivation path is most deeply influenced by the Star Tower. Back on the land of origin, I meticulously observed that blood scale. It was like a beacon in the dark, guiding my way. Luo Feng frowned. But in that blood-colored scale, the secret patterns I observed showed 34.2% life-related, while destruction-related merely occupied 9.2%. Using it as guidance led my life and death Tao to lean more towards life. Luo Feng pursued the ultimate immense life form, then transformed its power into destruction, naturally possessing immense destructive prowess. Yet this path inherently leans more towards life. In the Divine King stage of cultivation, it already favors life. Strictly speaking, my life and death Tao is 70% life and 30% destruction combined. From the very beginning, influenced by the Star Tower, my direction skewed. I can't retrace my steps, I can only forge ahead. Luo Feng understood clearly, there's no such thing as a wrong path. Even pure life can aim for the highest level. 70% life, 30% destruction can still reach half primordial, still able to proceed further. I still need a secret treasure that aligns with the blood scale of the Star Tower to corroborate each other, Luo Feng thought. Corroborating each other can also broaden his horizons. This secret treasure needs to possess the mystique of the primordial ancestor level, containing life and death, yet inclined towards destruction, Luo Feng considered. The blood-colored scale centers on life. The other treasure should focus on destruction. With both for reference, his life and death Tao could be pursued more smoothly. From this angle, it should be this one. Luo Feng took a fancy to one of the secret treasures. Skysplitting Saber, a weapon naturally nurtured in a mysterious land within the infinite primordial space, containing the highest level destruction mystique, yet amid endless terrifying destruction, it harbors vitality. This saber, suitable for cultivators of the destruction path and life path to redeem, requires 30 million battle merits for exchange. Containing the highest level destruction mystique, yet harboring vitality. With destruction dominant and life supplementary? This is it, Luo Feng chose it. He indeed favored sabers but had never encountered a suitable saber-type secret treasure. This time he finally found it. Cultivator Luo Feng, are you sure you want to redeem the sky-splitting saber? A gentle voice arose. I'm sure, Luo Feng replied. The sky-splitting saber, should it be transmitted to the dark sacred realm or your homeland, the source world? The gentle voice asked. Although the sky-splitting saber isn't crafted from innate primordial life materials, its value is extremely high, posing potential risks outside the source world. Transmit it to my homeland source world, Luo Feng said. This video will end here.